down here. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make variegated beargrass. It's actually really simple. There's a couple of ways of doing it. I'm going to be showing you how to do it in paste. So the paste I'm using, this particular one is cold porcelain, but I would be doing exactly the same technique if I was to use flour paste, if I wanted it to be an edible medium. You have got to remember that the wire is going all the way through, so it's actually non-edible anyway. I wouldn't recommend anyone to eat this. So I am just mixing the paste. I've already warmed it up a little bit, and I want to colour it slightly because this is going to be a variegated one that I'm doing. I've got old parchment by Edible Art. So we just need, it's a lovely kind of, not quite a strong yellow, it's like a cream colour. And I'm just going to add a little bit of it, not too much. Just pop it out like so. And then we gently fold that in half. I'm pressing to make sure there's no air bubbles. Just put the lid on this one and move it to one side. And then we start mixing. Now if you wanted to do just green, you can simply just add a green mix. A nice green, I think, is autumn green. That's a nice one. So you can see that's gone like a slightly creamy colour now, which is excellent. Now I'm just rubbing it on the board, moving any excess that we might have on there. And then we can start. So I'm going to roll into a sausage. Now you do need to think how long your beargrass is going to be and how you want it. So I'm going to just simply press down like so. Now there's lots of different techniques. You can push the wire up there. I personally find that very fiddly, so I like to actually roll this a little bit wider, and then we're going to sandwich the wire. So I'm actually wanting to make this wider now. There you go. And we just pick it up. I'm going to keep moving it all the time because I do want to make sure that I can get that really nice and thin. And as I do it, I just gently lift up and move along. As I say, no matter what paste you're using, I'd be using the same technique. And then here. And then gently lift. And there we are. So think about how long you want it. I'm going to stop there. I think that's a nice length. And I'm going to be using a 24 gauge wire. Now this is quite a strong wire, but I just think for beargrass it's suitable. And I've always used the 24 gauge wire for this. Now we lift to make sure it's not sticking. And then when I put it down, I'm just going to put that wire to one side. It's a little bit bent, so let's just angle that so that it's just right. Now I don't put the wire right to the end. As you can see, it kind of sits there quite nicely. Now I'm going to use a little bit of water as glue, and I'm just going to do, hold it back into position. It's already rolling off. I'm just going to paint a line of water. Now what this is going to do is make it stick when we sandwich the paste. So lid on the water brush, and it is just water that I'm using, nothing else. And then we gently fold over. Now don't fold over all the way to the wire because we want paste either side. So just gently fold and press. And can you see that wire there? That's perfect. So we do this nice and gently. And I'm pressing down very gently because we've added water to that. It might want to stick to the board underneath, so we'll have to be a little bit careful when we remove it. So there we are. Now you can see that wire running all the way through. Now very carefully, we want to lift this up. Now it does want to stick a little bit, so I'm being very careful as I'm going along. In fact, I've got a large knife here that I'm just going to use to to run underneath. If you've got a little palette knife, that would work superbly. So there we are. So that has stopped sticking now. And I'm just pressing down, making sure that there's no air bubbles all the way along. Just give it a little double check to make sure it's okay on the other side too, which it is. I can still see the wire. Now, really important, lots of corn flour, because we don't want it sticking again. And then I'm going to fold it back, and then we need to thin it out. So we've just doubled the thickness of our paste. So now, either side of the wire, so I'm not rolling over the wire, please be aware of that. I'm rolling very gently, just either side. And then we go the other side. So I press down, roll out. Now make sure that your rolling pin is always clean. If there's any debris on there, it will stick, which we don't want. Right, I've kind of lost the top of the wire, so let's just find that again. I think it's right to the end there. Okay, so that's looking good. Now what we do, with either a scalpel or a knife, we can even use scissors. So I've got my cutting wheel here, and I'm going to be using this. So make sure it's not sticking again. And then very simply, now I'm going to leave maybe a centimetre, so about here, and I'm kind of running parallel to that wire. I try and get it as straight as I can, and then to the end, and I always go to a point at the end, like so. And then we do the same on the other side. Now I do find sometimes that using scissors is easier, because you tend to get it a little bit straighter. So as you can see, I've gone a little bit thicker the one end. So I'm going to turn it round and just thin that down a little bit. There we are. Now I'm not going to be too fussy on this at the moment, because we're going to now vein it. So let's just get rid of all our excess paste, and we just pop that underneath there, and then open the corn husk veiner. Now because this is very long, we do one end first, so I'm doing the pointed end, gently press down, then we lift, move along. Now this time, when you press down, don't press down on the edges. So I'm only going not quite to the end. And you'll see that this will stop the lines coming in on the edge here. There we are. Now if you need to trim that, like I've said, by all means get scissors and trim them. I find that with a pair of scissors I'm just in a little bit more control. With the wheel it can quite easily go too thin, but we can just tinker and thin it wherever we want. Okay, so this is wide beargrass that I'm doing because I want to make it variegated. So I'm going to show you how to do that next. So we need, I've got just a normal kitchen plate here, and I'm going to use some autumn green. We're going to get a very fine brush. I'm just going to tip some of that autumn green out. So this is edible. If you were using, I mean, I know I'm using porcelain, but if you're using anything that's non-edible, you can use paints for this. Like I always say, I do tend to stick to the edibles. So I'm just mixing that up now. And can you see what I'm using here? This is actually alcohol. It's 70% alcohol. Very strong. You can just use vodka if you wish. It works just as well. So we just give that little mix. And then I have a very fine brush. So what we're going to do next is paint a line going up the centre. Now you can make this line as wide or as thin as you want. It's entirely up to you. This is your beargrass. But it looks really good when it's done. I'm going to actually do it on the board. I can just see it better on here. I hope you guys can as well. So very gently. I know it's a little bit time consuming, but it is worth it. And I have done bigger ones of these without the wire and actually put them inside glasses and things. They look really, really effective. You can curl them up and put them inside a glass, and maybe put your dessert in there and your pudding if you want to impress people. Looks really good. As you can see, we're working our way along to the end, just by gently brushing. Now the alcohol will make the dust, it will evaporate very quickly, hence why I use the strong alcohol. Vodka may take a little bit longer, but not much. There we are. And then I'm just coming down, thickening that edge just a little bit, not too much. And then we come down to this middle bit here. Bit of cornflour on there, but that's coming off as well, so that's good. So just keep adding, and as you can see, it's not perfect. There's a little bit of variation in the colour, but I think that adds to the variegation, so I don't get worried about that. And this is why the powder and the alcohol is such a good mix for this, because obviously as it dries you get the darker and lighter shades. There we go. Now I'd also paint the back as well, and then you can glaze it with confectioner's glaze. When it's dry, and I think it is actually dry now. Yeah, I can rub my fingers on there, nothing coming off. I'm just gently giving it a curl. And then that is beautiful, ready to go in your bouquets or anything you want to do. And because the wire's going all the way through, you can bend them, you can twist them, you can do anything you want. Maybe do a nice big loop with them. So I just think they're really lovely, simple things to do, and they just add a little bit of elegance to any bouquet that you're doing or arrangement on a cake. Okay, so this is the end of the video. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Thanks for watching.